Good evening, everybody. Stephen Howson, Alex Bagley. We are in our new rum bar. We've got a motorised camera as well, which is moving.
It looks good, doesn't it?
Robots will replace us all one day.
I like it.
It's good, isn't it? I like it.
I like it up here.
It's all right, isn't it? Our
It's
new
all
little rum den.
Little new set for everybody at
So we're
home.
on the bevs.
So we're on the bevs because it's Sunday.
Watching the American hand egg stuff later.
Yeah, we're all dressed in American attire. I didn't.
Having it.
I've gone
Go Sports and all that
Sports,
caper.
yeah.
So we thought we'd have a quick chat with you guys before we watch the American foosball later,
Yeah.
which you can come find over on my channel on Twitch, twitch.tv/SteeHowson. We will throw a link in the description to that later. But before we do that, obviously we watched United. No, we didn't. We watched City against Liverpool earlier.
Yep.
Might have triggered Rio Ferdinand.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow on the podcast with Rio, if he lets me. And I'm not really shocked, to be honest. I'm shocked at how shite Liverpool are.
I really am. They've just kind of capitulated the last few weeks, and I think everyone said that Tottenham game, like, oh, they turned the corner, they're back, they're scoring goals, and then they scored a few goals against West Ham. But I think that defensively, he's got it all wrong. He's not changed something. He's not changed the whole system. He's just put new defenders in that aren't as good as Van Dijk doing that. He's not changed the system a bit to protect it. He's not added in.
Well, the only systematic change that I would really look at is that normally their midfield's extremely functional.
Yeah.
And it only exists to move the ball forward as fast as possible after it's been regained possession. Now, with Thiago in there, he wants to hold possession a little bit more, and that makes it a bit different.
It doesn't, but it also makes it harder for Liverpool because there's always that chance of them nicking it off them and going on the counter, whereas before that wasn't a worry for them because they were just pressing dead high. They weren't too worried about that. And he hasn't changed anything with Liverpool, which is strange. And you'd think he'd have gone more functional. He maybe played Milner today as well as them, and just
he's not doing a lot of that. And
let's just be defensive,
especially Trent.
Oh mate,
Trent's shy. Let's have it right. Defensively, he's an absolute liability. Do you see the one goal? I think it was Sterling's goal. He literally just gets danced around and stands there.
And there was a point just before.
Jesus, what, you think I've got an agenda about Luke Shaw? If I was a Liverpool fan, I'd have a fatwa against Trent. Jesus, what?
It's as well like there was a point not too before I think they scored the third goal and they just counter-attacked and you're like, but I think it was like Mane that was tracking back. Trent was nowhere to be seen. And Liverpool were attacking down the left.
And he's not even being productive as a fullback either. So if he was pulling in 20-25 assists and you go, well, I'll deal with him being dog poo defensively because look what he's doing at the other end. But that's not the case.
It's not been the case. And, I think that the whole thing, I think Keane kind of chatted about this earlier on in the year when they were comparing 99 and this, which is absolutely, when you look at it now, is crazy when you're comparing 99 to...
Well, 6 months ago, this was the best Premier League team ever.
Yeah.
There was arguments about that.
Keane went, well, we had a squad. Like, you don't mention Jesper Blomqvist, but he played 30 games and meant that in certain games that worked. We had David May. We had all these players in and around the team.
Yeah, Ronson and Stan might have been the partnership, but guess what? Berg played a lot.
Yeah, and then you had Nicky Butt. The team was Scholes and Keane, but Nicky Butt played a lot of games when needed. And Liverpool just don't have that. And that's how you make a team win 3 in a row. And now City have done it by just spending absolute fortunes on players. And they've got pretty much 2 players for every single position. But Liverpool just don't have that. What was that? So
Rio's just texted us. I was discussing what our potential podcast title might be for tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Look what he's just... You can read that out.
Yeah. I'm booked into interview him soon, so after that, please. Great fun. Great fun.
Someone just said, is there a Paddock Whoop group? Yes, there is.
There is. You can join it. There's only 3 people in it at the minute.
Yeah, it's me, Janine and Alex.
Yeah, so if you want to get involved, DM us and we'll sort you out.
Get your questions in and we'll start talking about it. So we've called this, What Do United Need to Be Title Contenders? Saw a lot of real people digging out Harry Maguire. Now... I defend Maguire because I think he's the better of the fit defenders. I think the best defender is Eric Bailly.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think Harry Maguire gets a lot of shit, but he's good at certain things. I think being a captain is not one of the things he's good at.
No, I don't.
And I think when he has to play alongside others and direct the traffic and like really organise the defence, I don't think that's a strength of his. And I think he's better as the B defender, as Maybe someone who's sat alongside a leader that's constantly talking and cajoling.
Well, I think maybe that was Johnny Evans for Leicester. Maybe that was, people wrote off Johnny Evans, and Fergie said in his book, I think, that I would have never got. I think it was Van Gaal that saw Johnny Evans. He's like, I'd have never done that. He was always my one that was going to be the guaranteed one. I think Small and Jones were the ones I liked, but had things he had to work on. Whereas Johnny Evans was always going to be there, and he was the one I trusted more than that three coming through. So to get rid of him, and maybe there was a bit of that. And you're right. I think that the problem at the minute is there someone out there like that right now? There was in this summer by the looks of it already. City. I think that. I was chatting to a City fan last night, and he said, "I love the football we're playing at the minute. We're playing." I said, "I'm not impressed by that." I said, "Getting £60 million players to knock the ball about is not impressive to me. What's impressive right now is City have changed everything, and they were sitting back to Liverpool, going, "Go on, come on, we're going to defend. We can do that now." That's what's impressed me about City this year, and I think that
I was looking at Ruben Diaz in particular today.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, there was at one point Liverpool were attacking, and I was like, here's a tip for everyone, right? When you're watching a game, try not, and it's hard because that's the cameras are literally going, look at this. Try not to look at the player on the ball, because I know that's really difficult to do. Look at the shapes, the patterns, the off-the-ball runs and stuff like that. Someone was attacking down the right-hand side. I think it was Curtis Jones. I think he had Salah ahead of him. And I was like, I'm just going to watch Diaz here, because I watch United's defence and I get frustrated a lot. And I was watching Diaz, and do you know what he was doing? This.
Yeah, just looking constantly.
Just constant. And he would look, and he would move himself like a foot, and then he would look again, and you could almost see him go, yeah. Oh, hang on. And he was constantly just checking where he was in relation to everyone. And then something happened, and he basically demanded something from the left back, and then something else happened, and he demanded something from John Stones, did a bit of pointing, and then they cleared. And I was like, fucking hell, look at him. Yeah, he's absolutely mint.
He is mint, and I think that you saw what Van Dijk did to Liverpool, and I think that you saw straight away after he dropped out of that team, just his talking alone and his, what he knows about how to play that position and how to be in and around those players makes them all better. And I think that Maguire's good, but Maguire doesn't make Lindelof any better. He doesn't make Aaron Wan-Bissaka any better. He doesn't make Luke Shaw any better. He's a very good defender.
That's why I think your B defender is him. Yeah. And if we had a Van Dijk or a Diaz, or even a Koulibaly, although I think the ship has sailed on that, but that sort of guy, because Koulibaly throws people around and is like, fucking get over there and do this. I think he'd be all right, and I think he wouldn't be looked at as much. He's got a couple of issues. One is his price tag, two is the armband.
Yep.
And I think without those two things, people would appreciate him. Like, I think he's by far and away the best header in the league. I think he wins more aerial duels than any other player in the league. He's like almost flawless at it. He wins every single header. There's lots of stuff has changed. It was only 6 months ago, this Manchester United team had like the second lowest amount of goals conceded in Europe. Now, what's changed? We've gone from being a predominantly counter-attacking team to a predominantly possession-based team, which means the line has gone higher, which means that the weakness of Harry Maguire, which is his pace, has been exposed. Teams getting behind us now.
And you think as well, you think that we've got De Gea on the thumbnail as well. You think what Alisson does, not very well today, but you think what Alisson and Ederson do for City. When that high line goes up, the keeper's kind of, maybe 30 yards higher than De Gea is. And it means that there's always that option. There's always that option. He'll just come out there and just clear up. We've not got that in De Gea. I think that as we develop, are we going to be a team that is further and further forward? Are we going to be a team that's going to be well inside their half as a line? Does he need coaching to be a bit further forward? Does Henderson need to come in and do it?
I think De Gea's 30 this year, or something like that, at least there. So he ain't going to change. No, I absolutely pecked Rio's head today with a million different questions about all sorts of stuff. Who's out there that we can get? And he says, might be biased here because I think he represents him, but he was like, defensively, Godfrey's got it all. And I was like, well, I'm not going to a Premier League team. I know it's not my decision, but I'm not going to a Premier League team to buy a player because you're going to get your ass felt.
It's 80 million quid. And we've said this about everyone coming in. We've said this about like potential other forwards, the right wingers and stuff, and we said this about like Traore and said that we'd love Traore. Traore would be a thing. And I said yesterday, I watched Sam Maxman for Newcastle, and he's made Newcastle the worst team in the league to an all right team. They're not great still, but he lifts them. And if you had him as an option, they'd be good. But they're going to cost you 60 million quid.
I think you're going to struggle getting anyone of value, at least, from the Premier League. You get good players, but you're not going to get good value.
Not for United. And it's not even, can other teams do it? I think that United can't do it. I think they've got this thing on them that they're going to rinse you. They're not going to do it. City have kind of got away with it somehow. City are now in this. They've kind of set out and gone, because they've done so well, we're going to pay 60 million and that's all we're going to pay.
Yeah,
that's
they've done really well at that. But apparently we were looking at Diaz before we went with Maguire. Which feels like a bit of a kick in the bollocks, doesn't it, actually? Yeah. But I was, Rio was saying, I was like, what's De Gea like to play in front of? Does he fucking speak? Because, Van der Sar give you earache. Peter Schmeichel would have barked at you constantly. Yeah. And he was like, to be fair, no, but he was only young when I played in front of him. He's had 7 or 8 more years since then. So you would have expected him to kick on and maybe speak, but he's very quiet as a goalkeeper.
He is, and that's it. He's been there for, you mentioned 7 years now. He's the one real left. There's no one else left from
him and Phil Jones.
Him and Phil Jones from when we won the league.
And no one's more shocked than Phil Jones, by the way. At that. Phil Jones walks in every morning at training and going, still fucking here, Jesus.
They've really tried, but I'm still here anyway. But
when's his testimonial, by the way? Is it this summer?
He's not having a testimonial. I feel bad. Was it 2011?
I think right. The thing is, he's only played about 200 games. He's been here 10 years.
Yeah, he's not played a lot. But you'd think De Gea would be that leader, and you think that maybe he kind of went back a little bit with everything that he was going to leave and stuff, and maybe he couldn't be a leader in the dressing room when you've just asked to leave and go somewhere else. And I think that maybe he had to start again. And it's a strange one with De Gea, because I think that what he was like 4 years ago. But again, we were discussing it the other day that some keepers need to be the keeper that saves everything every week, and there needs to be. I think Henderson might be one of those keepers as well that maybe thrives on. Have 10 shots on target against me, I'll save them all. But when you have 2 shots on target against you,
the concentration lacks a concentration. Hard, isn't it?
Whereas I think that the top goalkeepers in the league in the last few years have been very good at just staying patient, staying switched on. I think that even like Kasper Schmeichel maybe is in that kind of bracket, that he doesn't make every save, but he made one save. I watched the Leicester game today. He made one save, but it was a really good, impressive save. And that's kind of what you need.
He also commands his box.
Yeah, he does. He's got a bit of his dad in that. And
only a little bit of his dad.
Only a little bit.
A proper diet version of his dad.
He's nowhere near what his dad was like.
Oh, you were mad in.
He was mad.
But yeah, I think that a combination of that, it just feels like lack of community. It's almost like it's a team that don't know each other.
It does. And the one thing that I can kind of take into this is, I think Ed Woodward and whatever's got into the head that this is a process now. It's going to take time, and you look at how Liverpool got to where they are, where it was a build. And
took a bit, didn't it?
But they had that season, didn't do very well. I think they finished 4th or 5th maybe, but scored loads of goals. And you went, they're really good. They can do that now.
Oh yeah, if they sort of keeper and a defender, are we literally in that slipstream?
And maybe that's where we are now, where we've kind of figured out we can score 6 goals. We've scored 9 goals against teams. We can score 6 goals against teams. We scored, I think under Ollie, something like over 5 goals 8 or 9 times. It happened 3 times in the 6 years previous. Maybe it's just now get another one, get another centre half. Maybe not a goalkeeper, maybe another midfielder. Maybe your Fabinho signing that what Liverpool did with that extra quality in midfield where you go, he's better than the 3 we've got. Put him in there as a defensive midfielder.
Well, this is it as well. Like we've got a poor defence and we're playing 2 holding midfielders in front of it week in, week out.
Brilliant anyway.
Yeah, neither of them, let's be honest, they're Nicky Butt signings.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but they don't start every week. That's the thing.
And someone asked me, chatted to a City fan and said, I don't really rate. I don't think McTominay's going to be the best thing. I said, I don't want him to be. I want him to be like Darren Fletcher was, where he's going to play big games when you need someone to work. Yeah. And he's got a bit.
Yeah, Fletcher, that's fine.
He's shown the quality. He's shown the quality. The goals he scored aren't tap-ins and stuff. And,
I don't think he scored a shit goal.
And he's not scored a shit goal, and he's got the athleticism to do everything. But maybe he's not going to be there every week. But if he can drop in now and again, he's going to work. But the problem at the minute is that it seems like Fred McTominay is the best option. But we need that Matic replacement is the next one, and then maybe, like I said, another centre half and be a lot better.
Alex the Crab says, love that you have a Packers jersey on when they're not even in the Pupper Bowl. Listen, mate, I've been a Green Bay Packers fan now, hardcore as fuck for like 4 days. So, watch your mouth.
You're missing your cheese head. Well,
that's a weird nickname, that.
It is.
Explain it. Explain it later.
Explain it later.
We're doing a
I don't
whole
know
5
what it
hours.
is, so that gives me 4 hours to research exactly what it is. But
Sorted. We're bringing a quiz back and everything.
we're having a quiz. We've got all sorts going on.
Gonna
Should we
get
go laugh?
absolutely smash-toed.
Paddock glasses as well.
Pete says, whoa, where is this? This is the pub that we built.
This is new. Yeah, this is...
We would have done one
upstairs.
earlier, but we've just been able to get the table
Yeah, the
finished. Show us the table, please, Adam.
There you
Look at
go.
that. Handmade.
The table had a bit of problems because it's
Handmade in
'cause it is-
Manchester.
'cause it
Hand
is-
stolen in wherever it was written. Well, no matter.
Because it is handmade, it needed
Yeah.
a little bit of time. You couldn't just.
It was handmade. It's
it's
fucking
handmade.
beautiful.
It is very nice. So yeah, this is
That's
our
also
new.
bar. All the bars.
We're
All
going to do a
handmade.
lot. We've said as well. We're going to do a lot more lives up from up here. We're going to try and do some after the game and stuff. You know, we're going to do when things are all right and stuff. We can do 3 or 4 of us around here and just have a bit of a debrief once, maybe an hour or 2 after the game, and just kind of everything's chilled a bit because the reviews and stuff. They are straight after the game, but when you've had maybe another game's been played and you can get a bit more
Basically,
context.
what
like
happens
this.
is, like this almost. What happens is, I know you lot don't really get to see this because we do the review, we come up here, we do the fan cams over there against that wall, and then we all sort of just have a chat, and it's very podcasty.
Yeah.
And it's like 4 or 5 of us, and we just literally got a big table in there, literally the office table. We just all kind of sit around that and just go, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and then.
And we all,
This would be brilliant content. To be
yeah, and
honest.
especially, and there's always like, because there's usually, hopefully, there's another game after us and we're not playing it fucking 9 o'clock at night as we have been doing. So that game's going on. Usually the games have some kind of context for the day. They usually, whoever does it has that game leads into that game, which leads. So it's one of them, like when we got beat 6-1 by Tottenham, the 7-2 by Liverpool kind of framed the day a bit. So, calm down a bit. Everyone's going to be a bit mad this year. And I think that watching that extra, and then watching today, it kind of, everything's been cleared up today. We had some good results for us. Leicester dropping points again, kind of kept us where we are.
Liverpool dropping points.
I think
they're now really in danger. They should be looking over their shoulder. Everton win their games in hand. They go
they're
above
3 points ahead of them if they win their games. Now, one of their games in hand is City, which I'm not expecting them to do too much with. But, it's been quite a good day for United in terms of, or not a bad weekend for top 4 stuff in the end. What's the problem? What are you?
Show me the other shot.
Which one? You or me? Me.
What the fuck is she on about?
Who's saying what?
Janine's just texted me saying that bamboo looks good. I bet we could make one cheaper. What are you on about?
Bumbo. I can't say Bumbo.
Fuck you on about?
Anyway, don't worry about it. What's everyone else saying? I think there's is there a super chat there, Mr. Howson, for us to...
She's just sent me. It'll make sense now. Can we see that on there? Just sent me a load of... Why is she sending me this while I'm on stream? Bottles, like lights made out of bottles.
I could go across there.
Yeah, I think that's what she was saying. Otherwise, why text me while I'm on stream?
We're
I
looking
don't
at
have
new
a
stuff.
fucking
We
clue.
want to make this as
All
good
right.
as possible.
Apparently, they make a load of cheese in Wisconsin.
Right, that's it. There you go.
It's fairly basic.
Yeah, but
It is what it is.
we wear cheese hats, which I think you'd look great in tonight. But
Get me one. I'll wear it.
couldn't find one on Amazon. Trust me. I love
So someone said we're doing a Super Bowl watch along. Yes, about 11:15ish on Twitch on my
Yeah.
channel.
Got all sorts going on.
We got Joe, we got Ronaldo, we got Alex. We're gonna get absolutely twisted.
Be great fun. Some good features in there. Well, kind of. Hopefully, if all goes well.
If Joe don't bring the wings, I swear to God, I'm gonna kick him down the stairs.
He is the wing man. He has a show called Wing It, and today he said, "I don't think I can get wings." I'm like,
You had literally one job. We've known about it for a month.
you do food stuff. That's your job
Yeah,
now,
that's
innit?
all you do. Jason says, Steve, I could buy one proper centre back to sort the defence out. Who'd you go for? I don't know.
No, and that's the thing at the
And
minute.
I half kind of like Ramos because I think we need a proper leader. And I think he'd go in and go, Maguire, shh, I'm in charge. And now
think-
we all speak Spanish. But I'm not sure he's got the pace to play a super high line in the Prem because
No.
the intensity is way different
But
to
I do
Spain. Because I
think
know
that-
everyone's going to go, oh, Madrid play a high line.
But
Right.
I don't think Solskjaer's about that. I think that Solskjaer's going to go, this is going to be a long-term thing. I want to sign someone that's going to come in and do a job for 5 or 6 years. Whereas Ramos would be, if he wanted to win the league next year, Ramos available right now, get him signed up and do it. That's the thing, is that if you get these 3 or 4 players across the line that is a Ramos of this world, you send them, you spend your money on.
But you've got to
Ndidi.
identify who your 23, 24-year-old Van Dijk level signing's going to be.
Not that many, is there?
Yeah, no, they're not. Did you see the Zlatan goal before?
Oh, the
I got
defenders.
dead mad. I don't support AC Milan. I don't support the Croutons who they were playing, right? And I was absolutely fuming. I've been fuming all day, to be fair, at bad defending. I'll give you a timeline of this is a true story of what happened. So, I don't know how many of you know this, but I like to watch the game on my own the next day. That's something that I do. And I watch it without commentary because I fucking hate commentators. And I think that they cloud a lot of people's judgment. So I watch it with no commentary and I make notes because I'm a nerd. And that's how I watch the games in peace again, because it's hard to watch them while they're live and really do that. So I always usually do it when I get home, or I'll do it the next day. And I watched back the United game from yesterday, and I was getting fucking well mad at some of the defending. Unbelievable defending. Then I watched the Paddock game against Stretford again, and I was even more mad. I text Will and that saying, "The fucking hell's going on here?" Like...
It's mad.
It was 3 months ago, and I was fucking.
Doing that, mate.
I was well upset. And then I saw Zlatan scoring against Croutons. I'm like, what? Why don't people fucking defend anymore?
And it wasn't even. Just stand next to Zlatan. Like, that's your job for the day. Whether you're the left back or the centre half. Just don't leave the guy that scored 500 club goals.
Honestly,
on his
they
own.
Even fucking look at him. I swear to God, I'd have hit you if that had been you. Oh. Joe Smith, you might remember him from Stretford Paddock, says, was I happy Liverpool lost for United's top 4 chances, or did I want them to win for United's title chances? I'm just happy they lose, mate.
I was. McCullough said this yesterday after the game. Again, why it would have been a good podcast. I don't really care now, because I don't think we're going to win the league. And I think that this is the point. I would love it, though, if Liverpool got absolutely battered tomorrow, which is what he said. And I kind of had a thought about that and went, we've kind of pushed the title thing for a bit now. I fancied that. But realistically, if you looked at where we were at the start of the season and said, we're going to be second, and we're going to be comfortably second, but we're going to be challenging City a bit, but we're not going to be right up their arses. But we're going to be 5 points ahead of Liverpool. I'd have gone, I like that.
Yeah. 5 points ahead of the team, that's just absolutely moonwalk the league.
I like that. And I think that...
Yeah, I'm in.
Them going through this now, where it is people talking about fucking rebuilds he's going to have to do. He just won the league by 95 points or whatever it was.
I said this on Twitter before as well. If you'd have told me, listen, there's nothing you can do about it, they're going to win the league. But
it's always going to happen.
They're going to win the league, but the fans won't be able to celebrate it in the ground. No fans will go to any football for an entire year. They're not going to get a parade. And by the time people are allowed back in the ground, someone else is going to have won the league. I'll go, fucking stick it in. We're having that.
Yeah, quite like
Got a super chat here from Abdullah. He says, watching us is confusing. Our forwards look so well coached, but the opposite is the case in our defence. I want to see a change in players in defence and goalkeeper, but more coaching the back line is needed. There's more at play here.
Yeah.
This back line was literally like the best back line in Europe last year. Literally. And then this year, it's one of the worst back lines in Europe. What's changed? United have become much more front foot facing. How we fix this, I don't fucking know, because I don't think you can't be good at both. Unless you're like an elite team. Like, fucking look at the cups. 08-09, United got that record of clean sheets and we had Ronaldo just blasting goals in left, right and centre. That was because that was a world-class team.
But it took some time.
It did, yeah. It took about 4 or 5 years for that to sort of gel together.
And maybe this a little bit is that this is a back four that he's kind of built. He spent money on it. I think people go, oh, well, he spent 130 million on that back line himself, you know, and also Lindelof and Maguire were 30 million players, Shaw's. But you kind of go, do you know what? It is a little bit. It seems it's still across 3 managers, this back line. It's still Lindelof and Bailly from someone else. It's Shaw from
Fergie bought De Gea.
Fergie, but it's still a bit of everyone. And I think that maybe, I mean, we're not going to talk. I'm not going to go into detail about Luke Shaw, but maybe Tellez has been signed for. Give him a year. You know, let him show what he can do.
Ollie bought Maguire. Yeah. Fergie bought Phil Jones and De Gea. Mourinho bought Bailly.
I mean, you look at how badly we've signed players.
Lou Van Gaal bought Luke Shaw.
You look at how badly we've signed defenders when there was a lot of times Mourinho was playing a full back five that Fergie signed. He was playing De Gea, Valencia, Jones, Small and Ashley Young. And you go, how have we got to this after all the money we've spent? And I think that Ollie's kind of settled with who he signed now. He kind of knows what he wants. I think he likes Maguire. I think he likes Wan-Bissaka defensively. I think he's got an eye
Joe
on
Smith,
it. Ethan Laird.
what fucking time are you coming in, by the way?
Come in, come and say hi. Joe could have been like, eh.
Yeah, come and get the bevs.
I think that this is a step-by-step kind of thing. I think that maybe he's got Wan-Bissaka in thinking...
Well, it takes patience. You can't build a football team in a window.
No.
Manchester City spent $1 billion buying all sorts of nuggets like Lescott and fucking Joe, and Christ, they had some shit signings, didn't they?
But you look as well, even this year, John Stones has been shit for years. Like, he's been really
he was
shit.
an absolute flop. They've conceded like twice, 3 times, maybe 4 times now since he started playing this year.
And you kind of think that it only takes one signing to fix that, you know, and it might be a better left back that fixes the centre, or it might be another centre half that comes in, and maybe Luke Shaw looks a
left
better.
back that defends his channel correctly.
But it could be you put another centre half in there, and you can play Tellers every week because he doesn't like. Trent and Robertson don't need to defend.
Yeah, Paddy Evra's defensive, Paddy Evra defensively was not amazing, but the way he linked up play going forward, it was, and you dealt with it. No, it's
and
what
he
I'm saying
worked his
before.
off
And he would always be working hard. Very often he'd be fucking 10 yards out of position, but it was like, well, it's Paddy Evra, so you roll with it. We don't have the defence that you can do that with at the moment. And at the moment, you see Maguire dragged into that left-hand channel far too often because someone's not back. I mean, even the goal, which De Gea should not have parried.
Yeah, Maguire was all over the show.
Maguire's all over the show, but Luke Shaw, if you just stop your run, keep track with the runner, stay in front of him, he's not getting that.
Yeah, there's all sorts going on.
The 3 of you have fucked this up between you.
And that's
you're all getting a fucking...
That's been the other thing this year as well, is that I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, and well, because Twitter is the place where people go to vent their frustrations they're trying to pick people's fault for goals and stuff. They go, it's Luke Shaw's fault, it's Harry Maguire's fault, it's Lindelof's fault. Well, most of the time, it's all of them. It's he's not moved him there, he's not told him. Everyone's kind of got stuck in between. You go, it's the group that's the problem. I think individually they're all right. I think that they can all do the right thing. Lindelof is very good defending there.
Now this is where Liverpool were, because you looked at that defence that they had pre-Van Dijk and you go,
shit.
No, well,
it wasn't.
At times you go, no, he's all right actually, and he's all right, but none of them are world class. And ultimately, you've got to get to world class. You know, someone's just said, "Oh, you're in a group chat with Rio. Why don't you ask him to coach defence?" Do you not think I fucking do? Like he said something earlier, and I went, "Oh, mate, can't you just fucking come, ring someone?" Like,
but again, people think that, and sometimes the best players aren't the best coach. There's very rare that the best player. And the other thing is, a lot of the time, I think a lot of people say that the best defensive coaches are attackers because they talk about what they hated, and they say the best attacking coaches are defenders because they go, just do this because I would hate if you'd done that kind of bit of movement. Ollie can show people how to do it because that's how he used to move. But the worst thing is a defender going, do you know, if you just do that kind of run, you can't deal with that. You cannot deal with that. And I think that saying Rio go and coach him, it's not a bang on that he's going to go in there and tell him exactly what they're going to do. There's a lot of these guys that can lead by example and could have, if you'd have put a 32-year-old or 33-year-old Rio into this team, he could have sorted it out that way.
Well, those unbelievably world-class players, how many of them have gone on to be world-class coaches?
It's very rare, especially at the top level, and to be a manager as well. I think you've got. I mean,
not even just a manager, just to be a coach.
Not many.
You're talking like genuinely world class. Who genuinely world class has gone on and done that?
Not really.
As a coach, not just a manager, as a coach.
I can't pull anyone out now that's gone. He was amazing. And you think of the players that United have had over the last few years.
No, maybe it's more like Rennie, because a lot of. You know, this is obviously no dig at Rio. I mean, we're talking to him about, come do some stuff with Paddock, and it'll be amazing, and we'll learn more in that 1 hour with Rio than we would in 3 years of fucking me and the rest of the coaches coaching.
There's one thing about all this is that I think people underestimate how being unbelievably good at communicating is the thing. I mean, I watched. Obviously, this is no full relation, but there's on the golf channel side of things, they have a lot of pros do like little workshops, and they had one of the women golfers come on, and they asked her, "How do you do that?" She went, "Well, I'll just do it." Mm-hmm. And you go, and everyone, I heard someone say, "Well, that's fucking. She's not very good, is she?" I went, "No, but she's not a coach. She's not a communicator. She just does. She's a player." And a lot of these players, Wayne Rooney is obviously doing all right at the minute, but Paul Scholes struggled because he just went, just fucking get the ball at your feet and pitting it 30 yards.
Just control it and then just put it 40 yards on a sixpence or some cunt.
And to write down how Paul Scholes used to do that, he couldn't do that. He couldn't tell you, this is the technique I use, this is the movement I used to do. This
that's
is just
why maybe coaches that weren't as good. Brendan Rodgers meant to be a very technical coach. I think his career was done at 20.
There's a lot that happened there.
Kieran McKenna, before coming to United and winning the league with the under-18s, I think his career finished in his 20s, and it was highly touted as one of the academy coaches coming through at Tottenham before we poached him. Maybe it's the players that didn't quite make it. Rennie didn't have a glittering career, but worked at it. Jose Mourinho did not have a glittering career.
I think there's some players that do it. I think there's some players that the natural communicators on a pitch. I think do it. I think that there's a time and place for it as well. I think like Roy Keane did well for a time, but then the man management bit of it. He probably would have done all right as a number 2, and I think he's done all right at Ireland.
He did do all right
because
at Ireland.
he can talk and he can explain things. But I think he's not going to manage people. That's not what Roy Keane's there to do. And I think that to be a coach and a manager,
your assistant's meant to be the good cop, while the manager's the bad cop, because the assistant's meant to be the one with a bit more communication with the finger.
Not with Roy Keane. No, he's going to scream at you, and I'll try and bring things back.
He's double bad cop, and I'll say sorry and get your ice cream. But it seems like it did go really well for him. I mean, I think it went really well for him at Sunderland, and I'm trying to think why it went tits up for him at Sunderland.
I don't think did he not move on somewhere else? Did he not get?
I think it might have been like a change of ownership at the club
Sunderland
or something.
Always, all sorts going on there. But you look at what Roy Keane's done, and it's weird. There's top players that never make it as management, top players that don't want to do it, but there's top players that try it and just it doesn't work. And a lot of it is communication. I think that's what people underestimate with Ollie. I think Ollie talks very well most of the time, and I think that even just to the press he can do it. I think he probably does it to the players a lot better because he was someone that sat on the sidelines a lot and he listened to how Fergie, McPhelan, McLaren and all them, that's how they communicated with people. So I can pick up on that.
Yeah, so maybe you look at the coaching staff that Ollie's assembled. He's gone with Mick Phelan, achieved a lot in his career, but no one ever said he was world class. Darren Fletcher, ditto. Ollie himself probably sits into that. The guy was a legend as a player, but let's be honest, he was below pretty much every striker he played with. It was very, 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 very good, but he was not world class.
And maybe Michael Carrick's there because he's been with that group for a bit of a time. I think even just as a coach, maybe he'll drop out in a couple of years' time and go and do something else. Maybe be a reserve coach or a coach of a lower league team. But I think that maybe there's a bit of we need someone that's been through Van Gaal and Mourinho and that's dealt because, like I said, these players have had a lot of them have had 4 different managers. You need someone.
The broken orphans.
You
need a fucking cuddle and a bath.
And because Michael Carrick played under Mourinho and played under Van Gaal, is just maybe there to go. I know we did things that way, but we're doing this way. Let's calm down a bit.
Super chats. George Parr says, "Where do you think we'd be right now if we went from Fergie to Solskjaer?" I think he knows too many of those players as players that played with him. I think he needed there's nobody now that played with him. Nobody. No. I think you need that separation.
It would have been. I think that the whole ex-player thing at that time would have been very difficult because I think that the pressure would have been. There's a lot of pressure under Ollie now, and there was when he first came in. But the pressure of taking over Fergie, we're at our peak. We're pretty good here. We've won the league. Probably should have won the Champions League if it wasn't for a nanny decision.
I think he does better than Moyes, but I don't think he's there now.
No, I think he probably moves on. But I think that you even look at, do you promote Giggs early? No, I don't think that would have worked.
Giggs wasn't ready, was he?
He wasn't ready.
Well, Fergie says a couple of things in his book which didn't come to play. He definitely, you read his book?
Yeah.
He's definitely sort of setting himself up for look what I did there with Nick Powell. And it's a bad read 5 years later.
Yeah, it is. It's not good, that one. But I think that he obviously wants. He knew what the other thing is. I think that people have underestimated how difficult of a job it is. Forget managing the players and actually coaching. Dealing with the press and dealing with how to manage this budget is near enough impossible. I think that's why he wanted an Ancelotti and a Guardiola. Guardiola maybe not as much, but I think that the presence of Guardiola coming in at that time would have been enough to kind of tick us over. He'd have made 2 or 3 signs. I think eventually he'd have got that cash given to him. But I think that he wanted an Ancelotti maybe to come in because he can just go, well, I'm still a pretty big manager. I can deal with this. I can coach this. I can deal with whatever I'm given.
Play 5-a-side, get on a piss.
Yeah.
I did want Ancelotti, to be fair. Or Mourinho, actually, straight after Fergie. Because Mourinho wouldn't have give a fuck he was following Fergie.
No.
We've got a super chat there from Danny Shields says, do you think the drop in the teams around us this season created unrealistic expectations of our current level? And has Ollie made more progress in this time than Klopp and Pep made in the same amount of time?
Tough, because Pep had them.
Yeah, Pep basically took over a Champions winning
Pep,
team.
you can't really compare, because Pep's had ridiculous amounts of money, ridiculous amounts of backing, and I think they had a very good team went into. Klopp, I'm still impressed by what Klopp did, because he took a shit team to be in Champions of England and win European Cup. They were shit. Like we watched the 2015 match the other week, or when we beat Juan Mata played. They were shit then. They were really poor. They had a lot of very bad footballers. And Klopp's done it without spending ridiculous amounts, and he's done it very well. And he has signed big players, but the way he built it up was impressive. Now,
it was more smaller signings.
Yeah, it was more smaller signings. He's done it very well.
But here's the thing, right? It's not necessarily about doing it with big signings. When you look at people always go, look at the 11 he had when he started. He was allowed to change the entire 11.
All of them. Firmino, I think Firmino was in there, Henderson was in there, but that was about it. I think there was maybe Trent in there, but then you've had a few academy players, but he changed everyone in there, and he got a completely different... He had his idea and got that eventually. It took longer than what Pep got. Pep went, I need new fullbacks because I need to play, my fullbacks need to be really good. All right, that's £200 million worth. Like, comparing that. But he's definitely... What Ollie's done is, I think, that realise it's a project. Realise that it's 5 or 6... It could take 4 or 5 years. You're not going to do this because Mourinho tried it.
Well, I think they've tried to throw the money at it. World-class coach or world-class CV. They tried that. Well, Mourinho wins the league everywhere. Did he win the league? No, he didn't. Okay, fucking hell, now what? So, look, I kind of know that somebody that you might have heard of, who's a sir, had a bit of a fucking sway on what happened here. And he went, listen, that's going the wrong direction. We need to stop and go in this direction. And I think because of that, everybody's mindset within the board, I hope, was he's now going to get time.
And I think that this narrative online as well, that Ollie's a puppet to the Glazers and doing all this as well, I think that's... Do you know what? It's a horrible thing to say, we needed that, because the Glazers aren't changing. It's a horrible, much you can protest and do what you want. They ain't changing. You need
15 fucking years exactly. And they don't give a fuck.
So you need to realise that we're going to have a net spend every summer of 60 million quid, probably. We're not going to spend more than that. It might look like we spent 150 million, but we let Lukaku go.
Yeah.
So...
Wrong door, dickhead.
That's...
Other door.
That's Joe McGrath from Wing It.
We're live, so fuck off.
Adam Patterson is going to go and deal with that for us and just leave it on this shot
Notch says the only manager I can think of that was genuinely world class was Johan Cruyff. Now, I'm going for a bit of a Johan Cruyff fetish at the moment. With Johan Cruyff is into hockey and baseball. Did you know that? No. And he took a lot from the other sports. The Cruyff turn might have been a hockey move, which is why...
Hockey 3 legs.
Yeah. I don't know if it's 3 legs or just at the side here.
Yeah.
But he took a lot from other sports that he played. And he took a lot of any way that you can gain advantage and learn, because ultimately sport is very similar. No matter what you play, there's aspects of strategy and stuff like that. And the way he was huge on communication, which is probably why he ended up being a good manager, because he was all about that communication. Here's what I want, structure, blah, 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 blah. And again, like, his autobiography is good. My Turn, it's called, which is genius. But there's a couple of books which kind of like just touch on him just a little bit, which I really enjoyed. One was The Barcelona Legacy by Jonathan Wilson, and it basically is the Johan Cruyff legacy, Rinus Michael's legacy. But My Turn explains a lot more about what he was like, and in terms of coaching and philosophy, like obviously Louis van Gaal picked up a lot from there. Jose Mourinho came through there. You can't believe how much of European football is being called the Barcelona legacy is a fuck up by the authors. It's basically the fucking origins of football in Europe.
It's madness.
It even starts with, check this out, right? So you know when you've got teams that are very strong, very big, very direct, maybe just fucking Russia. How would you overcome those?
The Russia and strong and direct, you either play out from be intricate and just play. You've got to be very, very good on the ball, and you've got to be able to play through the lines and stuff like that, and beat the press almost just a lot of the time and keep it on the floor.
Okay. How long do you reckon that's been about?
Probably around the time that Johan Cruyff was there, so about 30 years, 40 years.
All right, no, 1872. The first ever international football match was
By the
against...
way, I like this camera.
It's good, isn't it?
It's good.
England versus Scotland. Was you there?
1872, just before I was born.
Yeah.
Just 120 odd years.
So, in that game, England was very much a charge. According to the reports at the time from the Glasgow newspapers, Scotland were giving up about 1.5 stone to 2 stone per player. England was very much a big unit side. The Scotland international team might have invented tiki-taka football, and they passed it around them, and they kept it apart, and they passed them out of the game. And I don't think Scotland lost an international for 16 games because they had their own sort of style. It was actually Queen's Park, because the Scottish international team was basically Queen's Park. Or, is it Queen's Park or Queen of the South?
Probably
One of those Queen's fucking teams that plays in Rangers.
Well,
isn't that interesting?
but yeah, it is mad how it all came about. But
why do I know that?
don't know, because you listen to too many audiobooks. So this is probably one of the things.
Shaq says Cruyff is the most brilliant sporting mind in the sports history. Very fucking interesting.
He's up there.
Con says Jay has a programme from that game. What about Zidane? I mean, we don't know yet, is the answer. If Zidane's able to strip this team back and build his own,
it
yes.
is impressive. It would be, but I think, because that's the thing, is that we've doubted Guardiola a little bit. I think he's proved a few people wrong a little bit this year in what he's done defensively. Now, maybe that's just having players, and I think that the look of it all, I think that because the rest of the Premier League shit, I think this team was always going to do it. But Zidane was successful with one of the greatest squads or 11s ever, and you look at Ronaldo in that team at his peak was unbelievable. You had Modric, Casemiro, and Cruz, which is probably one of the best midfields ever. And then you go back to that Barcelona team that Pep had, and you kind of go, well, do you know what? There's a lot of people could have done that job with them players. It didn't really. Obviously, they kind of added a few more things, and they added a couple of intricacies to it. But a lot of it is just keep all these guys happy, keep all these guys fit, and these guys are better than everyone else, and they will do it.
So you know they're good when they can strip that team back
and start again
and bring in 8 new players.
And that's where I said the comparisons this week about Liverpool and how good they've been and you think that you look what Fergie did and did it 3 or 4 times. Now, he had a couple of players that stayed through all of that, which was madness, having like Scholes and Giggs in them. But at the same time, to start again and for it, at most it ever be 3 years to be in, we'll strip it all down, we'll sell a few players and we'll start again, is unbelievably impressive. And especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, he did that without a break.
Fergie had 3, and you can argue 4.
I'd say 4. I think the 93-94 one is underestimated.
Okay, so you've got your Eric Cantona era.
Yep.
You've got your treble era, which we'll call your class of 92 era, really, because that was when they all started getting sold.
When Cantona retired till 2003.
Yeah.
So that one.
Maybe a touch earlier, because I think you've got your Ruud van Nistelrooy era, which is what, a 1-ish to like just before we won the league. And then you've got that sort of team winning era.
Yeah.
There's at least 4. I mean, and arguably that last standalone title, your post-Ronaldo titles, I guess it's an era, but it felt like last remnants of shit.
It was the last remnants, but I think that was the impressive ones in terms of it was the squad players that won them for him. You know, they were the squad players from 06, 07, and you know, your Fletchers, your O'Sheas, your Parks, and things like that stepped up and filled gaps. And then players that played that, you know, have gone on to not be very good now, and you kind of go, hang on, they weren't very good. You know, Phil Jones and stuff was involved in that team. Chris Smalling was involved in those teams, and
I think he's a fucking genius.
He was so good at managing that. And maybe it was 3 or 4 teams, just unbelievable. And there's not been many managers that have done that at one club. There's not been many managers that could do that at 2 or 3 clubs where they start from nothing and build it up for any more than 2 or 3 seasons. I mean, Klopp's done it. You'd say Klopp's done it at Liverpool where he took a poor team, but it's been 2 years. And is it unravelling a bit now? Will he be back next year? Maybe with a couple of signings, but they're going to lose. They're going to lose Wijnaldum. They're going to lose. I reckon one of those front 3 needs to go, and there'll be someone else. I think if Madrid and Barcelona get the checkbook out, which they need to do eventually, I think that might be someone else. It might be a fullback. There might be Van Dijk. It might be Amane or Salah.
Van Dijk might not come back from this injury fully.
You never know. You really never know, especially cruciate ligaments. You never know how they're going to be, because if they go straight after, because that's the thing that usually happens.
You had a pace gone. Is he 30?
He's 30, not the youngest of players.
Righty, I think we're going to wrap it up there. But cheers to everyone for coming and joining us tonight. You can come and watch us on twitch.tv, where if you've got any questions that you're burning to ask, we'll be answering them on there. We are getting on it. We've got all sorts going on. So come and join us. It's twitch.tv/Steve Howson.
There's not going to be a lot of United stuff. So
yeah, I mean, it's going to be carnage. It's literally going to be carnage. So come and join us if you're into that sort of stuff. And have a good night. See you in a bit.